It's not like having boundaries around the business is wrong or bad, but manufacturing false boundaries around time or availability, that's like a red flag to look out for.
Welcome to the Found Free podcast, where we talk about spirituality, entrepreneurship, activism, and self-care. Very, very important self-care in the process of all of this. And we are back with Bear.
Hi.
How you feeling?
So great. Yeah.
Do you feel really energized by our first part of our conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're about to get into some sketchy business practices, and
it's going to get spicy.
It's going to get a little spicy.
It might.
I'm excited about it because I feel like you're about to, like, I feel like the energy, like, and then, like, I feel like
there might be some preaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about, in our prior episode, we talked about a lot about like wealth and capitalism and anti-capitalism and like the importance of also bringing in the individual and like all these things. Love, love, love. And we talked a lot about too, like, in our community is like justice-oriented spaces, artsy spaces, care-based services. Like, people don't want to ask for enough because they hold like guilt, shame, and all the in-between. So I want to like kind of get into some tangible things, because I think it's important to bring that into it. And I'll name some of the things that like I've seen in my businesses that like we're improving on, right?
Yep.
So one of the things that we are before in our like in birthing advocacy doula trainings, my organization, for anyone looking for doula training, birth worker training that is socially conscious and inclusive, we are now going to do like our payment plans don't have like an extra charge to it.
Cool.
So that like people don't feel like they're getting penalized for not being able to make one payment at a time.
Yep.
And like, you know, the theory behind that originally was just that when you take one payment, honestly, you just get less service charges, right? Yep. And then like when you're taking multiple payments, you get more service charges. So it's like, okay, what if we charge a little bit more to take that off the back end? But hey, we gotta do what we gotta do to like make sure that people aren't feeling penalized for where they are in their financial standing. Yep. So before we get into like what you can do, like, and especially you as a coach, right? Seeing other coaches manage it, because some things are like, I feel like people try to lure people in. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna name the first one. That's a sketchy business practice. You ready?
I'm ready.
It really pisses me off. Okay. And this is no shade. I know we're all a work in progress. I get it. Whatever. Anyway, the one thing that really bothers me is like, let's say, especially with coaching services, like a coach of any kind, life coach, business coach, spirituality, I don't know, whatever you are. And then you talk to them, or you have that initial like meeting. You're like, these are my goals. What are your goals? And do the whole thing. And you're feeling good. You're like, this person is so much in alignment with me. Like, I really want to like work with them. Right. And then let's say they tell you the amount or whatever the case may be, but then they tell you you only have 72 hours at this price.
Oof. Yes.
That grinds my gears. Because then they also try to say like, you know, oh, this is like a deep discount at this price. And it's like,
is it though?
Exactly. Or this is your regular ass price. This is your regular ass price. And it's fine.
Yeah.
But like, so if I don't have the money to give you in 3 days, it's sometimes less than that, right? I'm saying 3 days to be generous.
Yep.
In 24 hours.
Yep.
48 hours. Now I'm just not going to have that. And if I do want to come to you, it's going to be $2,000 more.
Yeah.
What? I don't like that.
I really don't like that either. Yeah. I think there's, let's see, what is wrong with that? Well, I think it incentivizes people to make decisions out of fear of financial scarcity. And it pressures people into potentially saying yes to something that they might not say yes to if they had more time to think it over. And it prioritizes the like needs and financial well-being of the service provider over the needs and financial well-being of the potential client.
And it also shows me that as a service provider, you're not feeling confident in what you're offering.
True. Very true.
Because for me, it's like, mind you, like, in my businesses, some of our things are like they're closed and open during certain times, like certain temporary trainings. But we also tell people, like, if you can't afford it right now, it's cool. Come the next time around.
Yep.
If you can't, like, here's some free things that we offer. Here's this, here's that. Like, you don't have to come and purchase this because it's not, to our knowledge, we don't have a plan to not ever come back, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
like, so you're always welcome here.
Yep.
And I think, can you speak a little bit more to that? Like, because sometimes, like, in a way that someone can identify this kind of practice, because that time thing is a real thing. And sometimes people aren't aware. They feel the anxiety, but they're not aware what's happening.
Yes. I mean, I think what's happening there is creating, the coach in this case has created false scarcity to manipulate a potential client into saying yes right now because they're afraid because of the scarcity that's been created. And so what you just described is like actually the opposite of that, where you're transparent about the actual scarcity of the services as opposed to creating false scarcity that is manufactured solely for the purpose of manipulating somebody into wanting to like hurry up and buy right now. So I think anything like that that's like limited time offer, like limited time discount, like you have to hurry up and decide really fast that kind of that pressurized time boundaries that are false, right? That are, you know, where it's like limited time offer on this digital product that will always exist.
Exactly. It's like if I offered you $1,500 tomorrow after today, you would still be okay. Let's not.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's okay to have like real scarcity, right? Which is what you said. Like this program is only open for this period of weeks to enroll because it's going to happen at a real time.
Yes.
And so if you don't sign up now, then you can't sign up for this one now, right? But like the actual scarcity is not sign up now or else there's no way to do it ever, right? It's like sign up now or sign up again in the future at this future, you know, at some future date. And so I think like it's not scarcity. It's not like having boundaries around the business is wrong or bad, but manufacturing false scarcity, false boundaries around time or availability, I think that's like a red flag to look out for.
And I think too, like, and I'll say this to the camera, capitalism aims to keep you out of your body.
True story.
It aims to keep you disembodied. Right. So when you're going to a service provider of any kind, you're looking for something. You're going with a need. I need a need for knowledge, a need for a care service, a need for whatever it is. And because maybe I'm feeling some misalignment or I'm feeling a desire, or I'm interested in something, whatever it looks like. And that like, hey, do it now thing keeps you out of your body.
Absolutely.
You're running on like adrenaline, right?
Yep.
Adrenaline, fear, this. You're not really sitting in your body and being like, this feels a little... this ain't it.
Yep.
And like usually, like honestly, I've met some really good like practitioners where I really honor and love their work. But once I get that 72-hour email, I'm like,
yeah, there's a real disconnect there, a real like not being able to like walk the talk. And you know, I have like compassion for people who are using sketchy business practices because we are all, you know, indoctrinated inside of capitalism. Sure. And so it's not, you know,
it's not a shady thing. We're not trying to be shady here.
No,
we're just trying to like give a little foundation and some understanding.
Yeah, shine a light on some things that are like, hey, this is actually not cool, and maybe there's a better way we could do that. I don't know.
So what is one that I named my shady business practice that I don't like, but what's something that comes to mind for you?
When people don't make their prices clear. I really, really feel frustrated by a sales page for anything that, you know, at worst never says the price for the thing. I was looking at something recently where I was like, oh, I might really hire this person. And then I went to the sales page and the price was nowhere. The only option was to sign up for an inquiry call. And then so I was like, okay, well, let me click through. Maybe it's there. And I click through and it's still not there. So you have to wait to get on the phone with somebody before you even find out, like, is this even remotely in my budget? Or I even find it annoying whenever it's like buried all the way down at the bottom of like a 50,000 word sales page. So I have to like scroll.
Over and over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a long sales page is annoying in and of itself, but like that the price gets buried all the way down at the bottom where it's like, if you're afraid of it feels like the reason that people are trained to do that is because they're afraid that people will be scared off by the price. But like if someone is afraid of the price that I'm asking for something, like I don't want them to pay me that price.
Exactly.
If that is a terrifying number to you, like I don't want you to give me that amount of money.
Yes, exactly. And I've had like people, especially like in birth work, because obviously that's like my avenue, and they have that question. They're like, should I not? I always lean on the side of just being clear about it.
Yeah.
And I also err on the side of like, if this is not accessible to you, please send me a message anyway.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like, because I may have space for a discount. I may have space for this, right? But like, I want you to know what I feel like my time is worth.
Yep.
Right. And then you can name to me whether it feels like it or it doesn't feel like it.
Right.
And that's fine.
Yep.
Right. And I think like, again, but what that also tells me, just me, it's not for everybody. You're not feeling confident.
Mm-hmm.
You're not feeling confident.
Yeah.
So just clearly just put it out there.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Do you think that is something that is so astronomical that a lot of people aren't going to want to do it? Or do you feel like it's so low that you're waiting for somebody to tell you, oh, I can afford more?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so it's on either end, but it's still giving me like the sign of maybe you're not feeling confident.
Yeah. I think that's really right. I think that it's like a sign of a general discomfort or a general kind of like disconnection from the body around being able to talk about money, where it's like, oh, that is so scary.
And you run a business, you need to talk about it.
You have to, whether you want to or not, you kind of have to. But yeah, it's like so scary that people are like, oh, I can't even put that on the website, like, oh, I can't even say that out loud. You know, it's like, okay, well, it's gonna be hard to get paid.
Yes. And to be honest, like for me, like I'm very clear. Like I have like the Found Free community, which I was like on Circle. It's very clear about this is how much this is, this is how much that is. And I specifically put that together because I felt like when people did want to do a one-on-one mentorship with me or whatever, it was kind of like, you know, here's the information. I just want you to see it clearly. I just want to like, this is what it is. Like it's all in one place. I want you to see how much it costs. I don't want you to question it. I want you to just like see it.
Yep.
Right. And I also think like for that person who maybe is making the choice not to have certain information on their website because they're having that, I don't know, like what advice would you have for that person? Because sometimes it's not to be malicious, right?
Sure.
It's because I personally feel like it's a gut punch if I see that. It's a gut punch if I even ask for that. So like, what is your advice for like them moving through their own process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think like the practical, I think, is the thing that I do anyway, and that I suggest that most people do, is to just put the prices very clearly on the website. And in fact, like on all of the things that I sell, the price is at the top of the page with the other logistics. So you can see like what time this thing happens, how long it is, and how much money it costs, like who it's for maybe, like, but just like a few bullet points of like, bam, 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 this is the summary of the offering. That way people can rule themselves out if like, not only if that money is not doable for them, but also like if the timing is not right, then like, okay, then you don't need to read all of this sales page to get down to the bottom to be like, yeah, exactly. And I guess the thing that I think on the internal work that has to happen is like the ability to start to believe that it's okay for me to get paid. Like, I think so many small business owners are getting paid, but like actually feel a profound discomfort with receiving money at all. And I don't want this to turn into like a, you know, law of attraction kind of, you know, mindset only mindset, you know, because your like money mindset is not going to like solve capitalism, right? It's not going to like solve histories of systemic racism. You know, there's like all kinds of things that like money mindset is not going to fix, but it might really fix how difficult it is to just like have a conversation with a potential client about what it's like to hire you and how much money that costs. And so, you know, there's all kinds of practical things a person can do to try to get more comfortable with that.
I can give you a healing story that happened for me. Maybe you can share a healing story that happened for you.
Yeah, I would love that.
So when I first started doing doula work in San Diego, so I had been doing, I was a doula for the Prison Birth Project for 2 years, right? I was doing volunteer work. And I moved to San Diego, and I moved there intentionally because as soon as I got there, I went there before I had like my first fiber removal surgery, and it felt like I needed to be there. And then 2 surgeries later, I went there, and I moved there, and I was like, And I also did research about doulas there. Like doulas there can make 6 figures. Like they make money there because like people have money. They see doulas as accessories.
Yep.
And they like, where's my doula, right?
Yep.
So like I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there. So I finally quit my job, all that kind of stuff. And the first year, 2018, and being fully on my own, I was broke. I was broke as hell. I made like $25,000 in San Diego.
It's not a lot.
San Diego is expensive, right? So nonetheless, the next year, actually, that year I opened for the Village. I still wasn't getting paid though. It's my nonprofit. And then I did open BADT in 2019, but that wasn't towards, it was to maybe like the summer. But like 2018, at the end of it, I was like so burnt out. I was so burnt out. I was so exhausted. I was so like mentally, I was frazzled. Maybe I was in the corner crying. You know what I'm saying? So after I had to like get some mental help, right? Like, but yes. I had the realization that a lot of like, not a lot at all, but a lot of my stress was, I'm just not getting paid enough.
Yep.
I'm doing this work. I'm doing doula work. I'm up three days at a hospital and I'm only charging $600.
Yep.
Right. And it wasn't doing anything. So remember 2019, the beginning of the year, I started charging $1,000. Right. I put it out there and I was like, ooh, I don't know, y'all. Right. Because like, and especially, and it was other factors that contributed to it. Right. I was a Black doula in San Diego. Right. It was different things that contributed to like me being a person who had a business, but also just feeling like, could I get, right? And would anyone pay?
Yep.
And was it appropriate even for my community members to charge this much, right? So I charged $1,000. I got a couple clients. I'm like, okay, cool. So when I really got honest with myself, I was like, I need to get paid $2,000 per client.
Yep.
That would put me in a space of being able to have 2 clients per month, pay my bills, do some extra things or whatever the case is, and like also like show up to births like energized.
Yes.
Right? Like show up to births excited to be there. Not have to call in my backup doula because I have too many births at one time. Cause I remember I did like 5 or 6 births in 1 month before, and I was like, never again.
Yep.
And so I like maybe February, March, I went to $2,000, and literally within the first week of charging that, I got 2 clients, and they were 2 Black clients too, right?
Cool.
And so like it really was a healing moment for me because I had all this doubt.
Yep.
I had all this fear around not because I didn't feel like I wasn't worth the $2,000 as far as the services go, because as a doula I feel like we're worth way more than that.
Yep.
Right. But I was like, am I going to price it so high that it's not accessible to my community? And am I going to price it so high that people aren't interested? Are they going to look at the price on my website and be like, absolutely not? Like, right. It was that kind of thing. And then when I raised it, like, it was like, and then when my clients would ask me, because my job is charging more than a lot of other doulas in my area, especially Black doulas in my area. And they would ask me like, well, why are you not like charging this, right? This other person is $500 less. This other person is $800 less.
Yep.
And I would tell them exactly what I just said. Do you want me to be energized? Do you want me to be operating?
Yes.
Do you want me to be well? Do you want me to be able to get a massage after hip squeezing for 48 hours? Do you want me to come to your postpartum visit and be looking like I need to get into bed with y'all?
Yeah.
What do you want? Right. And like when I explained that to them, then they would be like, oh, you're here. Easy peasy. Here, take it. Yeah. Right. And so just emphasize how much that was like, it really started my journey to understanding like money's a tool for my wellness. 2, other people want you to be well.
Yeah.
And 3, if somebody can't afford it, they're going to let you know.
Yeah.
Right. And like I created different avenues around that. Like For the Village is created because of that. Now we have 200 people a year getting services that don't have to pay out of pocket. Yeah. Right. But like that just propelled me in a way that I was like, oh, okay.
I love that. Yeah. How cool to get that kind of like immediate confirmation that like this thing that seemed
I was scared.
Scary.
Yes. I was so scared. But I would love to hear like a money healing thing from you too.
I mean, it's funny. I could tell so many different stories, but like literally every time I have needed to raise my rates, I have felt that kind of like heart palpitations, freaking out, like what's going to happen? Are all my clients going to fire me? Like no one's ever going to hire me again. And just literally every single time, it's just been like, oh, okay, sure.
Literally.
Fine, no big deal. I mean, actually, the story that comes to mind is like so much smaller scale than that. But for years I taught yoga, and the studio that I taught at was sliding scale for most of the classes, and the sliding scale was $5 to $15 for a yoga class. And the head of the studio decided at some point that she wanted to like raise the sliding scale to $10 to $20. So from 5 to 15 to 10 to 20. And I was like, oh no, that's like doubling the bottom of the sliding scale. This is going to like, and I had a really like robust community of people who were like coming to class multiple times a week and whatever. And I knew based on my numbers that like a majority of the people who came were paying $5 or $6 or $7 each to be there. And so, for like the month before we raised the rates, I was like, hey, everybody, like the rates are going up on this date. Like if that's a problem for you, like if that's going to keep you from being able to come, please come and talk to me. Like I really want you to be able to be here. Accessibility is so important to me. Like I was just,
You're
like
really giving it to him.
And I was so worried that this was really going to like mess with people's ability to be able to come and practice. And of the, literally hundreds of people who I saw in classes over the course of that month leading up to it, one person came to me and was like, I wouldn't be able to afford to come if it was $10. One person. And so then like over the course of the next few months, I was like tracking my income as I always had. And I realized that like all these people who had been paying $6 or $7 were now suddenly paying like $11 or $12 to come to class. And like, that means they could have been paying $11 or $12 to come to class, even when the sliding scale was 5 to 15. But like, and this is no like shade on any of the students, right? Because like we relate to money in this kind of relative way. And when it's 5 to 15, you're like, oh, I have just a little bit more than barely enough, right? Yep. That's how most people see themselves, because I think that's kind of an accurate assessment for most people. But like, we don't know how to track that with what the actual numbers are. And so when the sliding scale moved, it was like, oh yeah, sure, I can pay a little bit more than the bottom offering, right? Like I can pay $12, but it's like, oh yeah, I couldn't pay $12 when that was almost at the top of the scale, but I could pay $12 when that's just at the bottom of the scale. But for me, it was like a, major shift in terms of how much money I was making. It basically like doubled my income from a lot of those classes. So anyway, it really opened up my mind to how people relate to money, and like actually how little tangible
little shifts.
How little of a tangible grasp most of us actually have on like what we could afford, and like how much of that is just mental.
Like how much we assume as a care providers
Bingo.
or service providers. Like, and I tell people all the time, like some doulas I know, birth workers I know, they're like, well, when I put my website up, I'm gonna automatically put a sliding scale, or I'm gonna put $400. I'm going to put, whatever the case may be, because their assumption is no one can afford it.
Yeah, because we assume that nobody could afford more than what we personally could pay.
Exactly.
And when we assume that, then like we never make more money than we could, than we're currently making. Because like if I say to myself, I mean, yeah, I felt that too. Like I can't charge $100 an hour for coaching. Like I could never pay anybody $100 an hour for something. This was years ago, but like that was really. But then I started charging $100, and it turned out that like lots of people actually could pay that. And just because I couldn't pay that didn't mean that other people couldn't pay it.
Exactly. And I think too, like one thing that I learned from living in San Diego, we would have like, it would be doulas who are like, I'm going to make a sliding scale like the focus of, and not that sliding scales are bad, but like they're like, I'm gonna make the sliding scale the main kind of way so you name your price basically. And so like a doula would say, oh, I'm doing like a birth package of like 3 prenatal visits, 3 postpartum visits, birth attendants, whatever. I'm gonna be on call for a month, that whole thing. So the person will look at the website and say, okay, well, I'm gonna pay $400, right?
Yep.
And then a doula would be like, okay, cool. So then like, a lot of times doulas, we go to people's houses.
I see where this is going.
Yeah. People's houses, and then you roll up.
Yeah.
First of all, you roll up to a mini mansion.
Yeah.
If not a mansion. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you roll up to the Tesla. You roll up to like, oh. And now I can't say if y'all might be house poor.
Yep.
Right? Could be a given, but let's just like take out the fact that you're picking what you think I'm valued as. You don't
Right.
even know the intensity of my work. You don't know any of that. So like I also try to lead people to like creating accessibility and naming your price, because people don't know how much time and energy is put into your work. They're hiring you because they have a need.
Yep.
But they don't know what all goes into
It's not their job to know that, right?
They don't know that.
Yeah.
So like, and you also don't want to say like, hey, I'm putting in 200 hours of work into one client, right? But it's like, if you give them I say, use that financial amount as a guidance. And I've had clients who like, when I was charging $2,000, they're like, oh, I have $1,700. Okay, I'll still give you the full package for $2,000 because I see whatever. But also it's a guidance for me that a $2,000 package, if you have $400, we're going to have to shift this if I work with you.
Right.
Right.
Totally.
So it's like moving in between that. And I think also too, I think a lot of your work and the way that you move, because you also do marketing for weirdos.
Yep.
Can you talk about that for a second?
Oh yeah. I think it's so funny that I've ended up teaching marketing classes, because like that is not ever, it would not have been if you were like, name 50 things that you think your career might entail later in life, marketing would not have been on a list of 500 things. But I actually really love teaching marketing because like basically what I'm doing is like helping people doing good, important, necessary, like vital and valid work figure out how to do more of that good, necessary, vital, valid, important work. And so much of what gets in the way is our like inability to speak clearly about what we do, to speak repeatedly about what we do, and to really find, to be able to connect with potential clients. And so Marketing for Weirdos is a 4-week class. We learn how to use Instagram and other content marketing strategies to be able to do our good work.
So we're going to get into another spicier level of shady business practices. So what I'm going to do is going to do like a little rapid fire. I'm going to name a practice, and then you give me your quick thoughts, yay, nay, maybe a sentence around how you feel about it.
All right, let's go.
Okay. The first one is going to be certifications for everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, it's not, I think maybe, I'm afraid my answer for all of these is going to be like, well, it depends, because like, let's look at the layers of nuance or whatever, but.
Certifications for being a coach that coaches the coach that coaches the coach.
Yeah, absolutely. People think that selling certifications is a more marketable, sellable thing than just selling the service itself. And so we want to slap a certification that is like accredited by no one, that is, there's no like backup on what it means or anything like that. And like, and then that's going to draw people think that that's going to draw more people in to buy their thing. I think that's probably shady.
Yeah. And we know that there's in-betweens, but like generally speaking, it'd be given shady. Yes. Yeah. Agreed. The next one I want to say is businesses who like raise their prices quarterly, but also like say that like, gotta get it in because we raise our prices, Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, again, I think like in and of itself, potentially raising your prices frequently is like not necessarily bad depending on the context, but using frequent price raises to like incentivize people to hurry up and buy now because they're afraid that the price won't be the same later, absolutely a shady business practice.
And the third one, which I think many of us see in all different avenues and different like businesses, and especially with like different programs, is like the person who leads with like, I made $7 million last year. And if you want to make $7 million, this is what you have to do. Sign up to my $50,000 program, even though you make $2,000 a month. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, 100% shady. I really think there could be a time or a place where it might be relevant to mention how much money something made. And I think like actually transparency about money is actually can be quite radically anti-capitalist, but in this case, like leaning on whatever inflated figure people are putting out into the world. For a long time it was, 6 figures. Now we've moved up to 7 figures. It creates a lot of pressure to just continually keep striving for the next thing, and to like make the potential client feel like wherever they're at right now, it's not as good as you, the service provider, are at, and so you're never enough. You have to keep growing. That is a kind of extractive, toxic growth, scarcity-based capitalist model. Shady.
And it's also so annoying because, like, could somebody make 7 figures teaching people how to knit? Sure. Somebody could have came out at the right time, right? There's factors. The world was a certain way. There was a certain need. There was a viral TikTok or whatever. But no one leaves with that. They're not like, hey, the world was just in a perfect mix at the time, and that's why I made that 7 million, right? And now that I've established myself at 7 million, I'm probably going to be able to keep building, because now I have the money to keep building, because I can pay for marketing, I can pay for this, and I can also have people sign up for a $50,000 program that will keep $7 million in my pocket, right? But it's like, it's not telling the full story, and people go into it being like, well, I'm going to make 7 million if I stick to this, and it's like,
are you though? I don't think
LuLaRoe.
I don't think you are.
And other scams.
Yep.
I don't want to get certain hate on certain scams, but there's a lot of scams.
Yeah. There's
how do you feel about market MLMs?
Oh man. Yeah. MLMs are just really preying on people's like need and desire to have more money in order to survive inside of capitalism, and like promising them things that they can't deliver on. And yeah, I mean, capitalism is the biggest MLM there is. So we're all kind of playing that game, but yeah, let's not opt into that any more than we have to.
So I want to thank you, because I think that I believe that your work is an example of liberation in motion in business. And I think a lot of times when we think about, especially for folks who are like specifically like intentional about their liberation journey, they tend to think that like, if I'm on this liberation journey, if I'm on this like space of like, being an activist, being conscious about certain things, and I can't run a business where I ask for money. I can't do this, where I do that. Like I can't market myself. I can't repeat my business to several people. I can't do this thing. And I think like your work really embodies like, I can do both.
Yeah.
I can do both. So one last question is, what's one piece of tangible advice that you would give someone who is on their liberation journey and focusing on their business? What would be like a first step or something that you would want them to keep in mind?
I might answer it with 2, but the thing that came to mind was like, go outside more. Just like go hang out and look at the sky more, like get off of your screen more. Yeah. Put your feet in the grass or whatever kind of ground you have access to. Right. But like, step away from the screen, because I think especially in early business, there can be a real like, stressed out hyper focus on building the business, and actually like, so much spaciousness and ease is possible whenever we reconnect with the world around us. And so that's maybe a little
no, really though, I went outside yesterday, because I am definitely, you can't own as many businesses as I do and not sit in front of the laptop. And I like walked inside the Kroger, and I was like, oh, it's people. Yeah. It's people.
Trees.
Like my little like activity thing on my iPad was like, you took some steps today. I did. I was walking around Kroger. Like I went to get my eyebrows done. Like stepping outside is a part of definitely, and like that, making sure that the business aspect doesn't overwhelm your need to be human.
Yeah. Absolutely, because especially for people who are trying to do business in an anti-capitalist way, it's really it's so crucial that we stay connected to the bigger picture and to who we are when we're not, providing a service or chasing a dollar or whatever.
For sure. So how can we reach you?
You can find me online. My website is bearcoaches.com. You can find me on Instagram at bearabear. And yeah, I would love to connect.
Can you name the courses and things that you have available, your services?
Yes. So there's 3 ways to work with me. The shortest and cheapest one is called Freely, an Anti-Capitalist Guide to Pricing Your Work. And it's some webinars about pricing and alternative pricing models and sort of doing some of the inner work around pricing and running a business. I teach annually a class called Marketing for Weirdos. So it's a 4-week live class. Freely is $50, and there's discount codes to get it for free if you need that. And Marketing for Weirdos, it's $540, and it's super fun. And we learn how to market our businesses in a way that doesn't make us want to puke. And and then the third thing that I do is called the Radical Business Incubator, and it's a longer program. It's a 6-month program with a group of other small business owners where we really get to collaboratively figure out how to keep thriving inside our businesses. And it's a really sweet time to get to be in that program with folks.
Yes, I've been in one of your spaces.
Yeah.
So invite me again.
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
thank
you. Well, thank y'all for watching. Thank you, Bear, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
For folks who, please put your attention towards Bear and what they do, because it's really helpful. And I reflect on every conversation that we have. So thank you again for watching the Found Free podcast with your host, Sabia Wade. You can reach me at Sabia Wade everywhere, as well as found-free.com, as well as seeing the podcast everywhere. And make sure to join our community. I'm a millennial, so peace.